And it's funny actually when I thought about bringing the podcast back, because I used to have this podcast. I started it actually in 2017. And I ended it in 2021 because it was just like too much. And when I was thinking about bringing it back, the first thought that I had was, I don't know that I want to like have it be a video because my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Because my hair has been for the last year like a thing. So that was actually like a huge deterrent for me to bring the podcast back, because I was like, oh my gosh, if I do all these podcast recordings, I'm going to have to like make sure my hair is good.
Yep.
And then I remember you having like a hair thing too.
Yeah, there's a hair thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I stopped my podcast for a while. Like, so I think we started our podcast like around the same time, truthfully. And I used to do them like from bed. Like I would like hole myself up in my room, or if I was away and I would like wake up at 5 a.m, drink 2 cups of like really bad hotel coffee, and then rip through podcast episodes in my hotel bed. And the thought of coming back when things had transitioned to, it's like video, it's all about the video only, video only. And it wasn't just like putting my makeup on and having the right lighting, which I still don't. You can see the like super backlit, beautiful window behind me. But there's the hair, right? And it's like, not only is it blow dried, is it styled, does it look good camera ready, but also do I want my hair on the camera? So I delayed bringing my podcast back because of that, all the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. My hair, as I was putting notes together for this, I was really thinking about it. And actually, like, I have Kleenex here because I was like, for sure, I'm going to cry. Because I think you and I are similar in the sense that, like, not a lot of things embarrass us. Like, we're not easily embarrassed. Jordan and I know each other in real life. We're very low key.
We're not
What's the word?
perfectionists.
We're not
By any
perfectionists
stretch.
at all.
No.
But we're also not like, this is going to sound mean, we're not that put together. Like, we're not like those people that have like very thought out outfits all the time with like matching purse, shoes, earrings. Like, I don't know, maybe you're like that, but my experience of you is not, is we're not, we can be like that, but
We
that's
can
not
be.
like our
I like secretly kind of wish I had a bit more of an aesthetic, you know,
same.
like, but it's just like on
That
the
will
day
never
to
happen
day,
for
I
me.
can't pull it off. I did put earrings on for this
Same. I
recording.
actually also have earrings. Yes. And I will never change them for 3 years. But we're not like, my business partner Laura, like, she's very put together, and she takes a lot of pride in that. Which is, I mean, not to say that we don't take pride in the way that we look, but I think you and I are very similar in that. When I wanted to talk about my hair and my hair journey, I thought about you, because A, I knew that you had a hair thing, and B, also because we're low key and because we just get it done. The fact that my hair has been a deterrent from me showing up is a very big deal.
Yeah, because nothing else has stopped you like
Zero
this
things.
far,
Literally
right?
zero things.
Yeah, 0 things.
Yeah. Yeah. And my hair was always amazing. This is the thing. Like, I am not a self-conscious person by any stretch of the imagination. And my hair was complimented. Like, I would be on webinars and people would be like, your hair is so beautiful. Like, it looks so healthy. And then overnight, it wasn't. Like, it was like overnight in October of 2024, maybe it was actually September of 2024. My whole body just lost all of its moisture. And I'm going to get a little TMI because this is what I wanted this podcast to be. And I think when we can all do this, we can be like, yeah, me too. Like, my skin dried out. Like, it was like overnight, everything just, the moisture left me. All the moisture in all the places was gone. And and my hair was about to my elbow at the time. And if you're listening to this right now, my hair is above my shoulder. And this is like, I was like, oh, my hair's growing again. Thank God. But my hair was almost to my elbow, and overnight, all of the hair below my chin to my elbow literally was like straw. It was like straw. And I remember I had to do this for work, this 5-day live challenge. I'm going to like get emotional. And I put my hair up in a bun because I was like, I can't show up with my hair down. And it's funny because if I think back, I used to wear my hair all the time up like in a messy knot for years. And that was like my signature thing. And I haven't worn my hair up for years. And so it was like, now I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to wear my hair up. And I think like we can all sort of relate to this, where it's if you know there's something going on with you, you have to just shut it down because you basically have to perform to do your job. Right? Like it's like, not to compare myself to a surgeon by any stretch, but you don't bring your shit to work. Like I imagine if like a surgeon has going on at home, they're very good at compartmentalizing. Well, the same goes for me. I had to basically shut down the fact that I was so upset about my hair and the way that I looked because the words needed to come out of my mouth and I needed to pretend like everything was fine. And I looked back actually not too long ago and I saw a video and I was just like, wow, little pat on the back, because I was actually not fine. And for me, it takes a lot for me to not be fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand.
And I remember thinking like, I'm going to have to chop my fucking hair off. I'm going to have to chop my hair off. And then this is like how ridiculous this is. And then it's like, but then I'm going to have to get new fucking photos. That's the second thought. I'm going to have to chop my hair. Okay, that's a thing because I haven't had short hair since my daughter was born. She's 17 years old. And then I'm going to have to get all new photos. And then we're going to have to change the photos everywhere. And that's a whole thing. I didn't ever anticipate something like my hair because I'd never had a problem with the way that I looked. Very grateful. I never suffered with acne. I live in a very small, able-bodied body. I really haven't had, thank God, any sort of aesthetic issues that caused me some trauma until my hair shriveled up and died overnight. And it was hard.
It's so hard. It's interesting. My journey. So I'm a year ahead of you in my hair journey. So mine was the previous fall. And I was thinking about this as you were talking. I was like, I actually don't know if my knowledge about hair loss, which is really deep, and I had really great knowledge about hair loss before I lost all my hair. I don't know if that helped me or if that made it real, like way worse, because I remember so mine was the previous fall. And you know, when you like put your hair up in a ponytail and you like know how it feels every time, right? You gather it all up. You know exactly how thick your own ponytail is. You know exactly how to do the elastic, right? And I've never had I have good hair. I've never had thick hair, right? I look at my daughter's hair and her ponytail, I swear to God, is like this, like, and so many elastics have to go around it to hold this like beautiful mane in place. I've never really had that, but I remember, and it was in October, and I was at an event and I went to like put my hair up. And I like was like, oh, did I just have a total meltdown and miss half my hair? Like, this is what I'm thinking as I'm pulling my hands back. I'm like, oh, I missed grabbing half my hair. And then I was like, you know, then you like feel up the side and you're trying to like find the rest of it. You're like, where's all the hair that's supposed to be in the ponytail? And then I was like, oh, and then I had this like flush of panic where I'm like, where is it? Like, where is the hair? And I went to the mirror and I'm like, and it's really hard to see in the back. Although now if you flip through my photos, I'm pretty sure there's like 9,000 photos of my scalp. And I'm like, where did it go? Like, you know, it's sometimes you like leave a little piece down the side or whatnot, or it's in the back and it wasn't actually there. And I had this full panic because I was like, okay, I know a lot about this. And this feels like it's irreversible, right? Like I was like, the statistics are, this is irreversible, Jordan. And I had this like total like panic moment where I was like, I am on camera. I am like, this is part of the look. This is part of the brand. You know, even though I'm not a like super aesthetic person, this is part of the aesthetic. And I was like, I'm going to be one of those people that had to cut their hair short because they lost their hair. I'm like, this is what I'm going to be, that like
Yeah.
old mom who's cut their hair because they have no hair. And so I had like the very same experience. And and having the level of knowledge that I have, I feel like really was like gasoline on my whole experience, because I was like, I know a lot about this and I know how difficult it is to come back from this moment that I'm sitting in right now. I can walk through what I did and what my journey has been because I'm on the other side of it. I've never had my hair this long, so I actually feel like quite proud of it this morning.
I saw something the other day and your hair was curled and I was like, whoa, your hair grew.
It
That's
grew.
amazing.
It
I'm
grew
in the
back.
process of growing it back, but I've had to keep like cutting it and just making sure the ends aren't straw and like it's a whole situation.
But yeah, it was a big thing. And I was very, very, very upset about it when I have it. And I still am. Like, it's still not perfect. And I still can get upset about it pretty easily.
Yes.
But at that time when it all happened, it was like such an ordeal for me.
Yes. Yes, I agree. And I want to validate, because I had to keep validating it for myself. This whole podcast, I'm like on the verge of tears because I'll just repeat it. I am not a self-conscious person. I say wrong words all the time. I have wicked ADHD. I do ridiculous things. I send my kids to school on PA days. I have not a great working memory. Like, almost nothing makes me feel self-conscious. And so this has been, for me, I think, because to your point, like, there's photos of us everywhere. Like, there's photos of me everywhere. And it's part of the brand. Like, I've had long hair, like I said, since my daughter was, born. She's 17 years old. That was the last time I had short hair. And if you are in a stage where either your hair is falling out, it's thinning, it's shriveled up and dyed overnight, and you had to cut it, or you're wearing a wig or whatever, a halo, extensions, whatever, I just want to say it's totally valid that it's devastating, and it's not superficial, and it's not silly or a small thing. Hair defines a person. And I didn't realize how much that was true for me until mine was gone. Until mine was gone. And even now, I'm going to cry. It's so hard for me. This has thrown me off. The way that one side flips out, one side flips under, it needs to grow. I can't get both sides to flip proper the way that I want. I'm also not fucking curling my hair every day, because I'm not going to do that, because it's also heat, and I'm trying not to do heat. And it is a thing. It is a thing. So I really just want to validate that. Two things. One, it's a thing. And two, if you're deciding to move forward in whatever career, you have to make a decision to not let anything stop you. Because there's always going to be something, whether it's your hair or lighting, or you're not in a quiet place, or there's a child running around, or there's a dog, or there's always going to be something. And so we just sort of have to, we'll talk about how to move forward in a minute, but I really just want to validate the fact that if you don't feel your best, that's okay. You can still show up anyway. And Jordan and I will give you some tips on how we've done that. But yeah, do you want to maybe share what you've done? Maybe the science behind it in terms of what actually happens to the follicles. Because one of the first things I did was, you actually had a couple of podcasts on hair, and I went right to your podcast, and I was like, okay, I need to listen to this. And then obviously AI, and I'm like, okay, let's go. So you share what you did, I'll share what I've been doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll be helpful.
Yeah. And I think one of the most important things when I start talking about the science around hair loss and how to navigate this is that you will notice your hair change before you will sort of meet the diagnosis of having hair changes. So medically, we can't tell that you've lost a lot of hair until you kind of exceed losing about 50% of your hair, which sounds crazy. There's actually even some research that women don't notice that they've lost hair until they've lost about 50% of their hair. So it's like kind of by the time that we're like, wait a minute, what's happening? We've actually lost like a huge volume of hair. And that's challenging because by the time we get to that point, that is a significant amount of loss. But like when you're looking at your scalp, when you're holding your hair, when you're talking to your clinician, when you're looking at what's in your brush, we really are disconnected from what is happening up there until we get to this, like, it's like a critical mass before we notice. And that critical mass is about 50% of your hair. So it's important that we acknowledge and recognize that, because it's very easy to be disconnected from what's happening with your hair. It's also very common that women feel like it happened overnight. And there is very few hair-related changes that are happening overnight. Sometimes we'll get a big shed post-illness, right? So like post-COVID, you can get a big hair shed, or if you have a big bad flu, you can get a big shed if you've done dieting, like things that like cause a more extreme stressor to your body. 2 or 3 months after that stressor, you can get a pretty decent sized shed, and that's normal, and that will grow back, right? If you've lost hair, like after you've had a baby, right? You lose your hair and it grows back. The problem is that age-related hair loss is happening in the background while some of these daily normal occurrences are happening. So just to follow my timeline, you're like 40, 41, 42, you're slowly losing your hair because of age-related change. Then you get COVID, then you lose a ton, and now you notice. So it's like we get this like intersection of regular losses plus age-related loss, and then suddenly, and this was what my experience was, like I had a massive loss. So I had dieted for a weightlifting competition. It was like a fast and furious caloric restriction, 0 stars, like do not recommend. Also had COVID in September of 2023. So COVID, weightlifting competition, and then had a massive shed in combination with probably some age-related, high testosterone-related hair loss. Like I have acne, I'm a high testosterone person. And so when all of those things came together, it was like a more than 50% loss suddenly. That's how it felt. But the regrowth and all the things that were required to get it back had to do with like both recovering from those stress related hair losses, but also the age related and testosterone related hair loss. So I'll stick to the age related hair loss because I think that's the one that's most relevant, right? The other stuff grows back. I know it sucks if you lose your hair post COVID or after dieting or whatnot, but it will come back. Those follicles just all got on the same cycle at the same time, which normally our hair follicles are in all different cycles. Some are in a growth phase, some are in a resting phase. When we have those big stress-related losses, everybody leaves the building at the same time, and it's stressful and uncomfortable, but it will turn around. Age-related hair loss is a touch different because the environment is changing, and that is a bit more of a permanent state, right? Like it's not like we're perimenopausal just for a month. It's happening like forever and always until we transition into menopause. And the scalp is losing its health, the same as all the rest of our skin, as you pointed out, Laurie, your experience. We also are having hormone changes. And so the loss of estrogen plus the relative increase in skin testosterone is changing the interaction of hormones at the hair follicle, which makes it a bit more likely for us to experience pattern hair loss, which is that sort of, you know, quote unquote male pattern loss where we're losing, and this is where I lost all my hair, was like at the crown of your head. And then also like sort of in and around that sort of like male pattern area. We're more sensitive to testosterone on the top of our head, those follicles, versus like down the back and sides. And so when we start to have those hormonal changes at the cellular level, we will lose hair in different places. But then also there seems to be more sort of oxidative stress. And this is relatively new, looking at like the impact of oxidative stress versus antioxidants and on the health of the scalp and skin, and how blood flow changes, and that lack of, or basically we're having some cardiovascular changes in our scalp, and that influences the health of the hair follicle. So all that's happening at the same time. And that's not the hair loss is reversible, but those processes are happening like on a continuum. So unless we kind of like put our foot down and say, I'm going to focus on this and this is not happening in my scalp, then we're probably on a bit of a continuum to keep losing some hair. Women are lucky that they don't lose all of it, right? Like it's not like you will go bald. You are not, it's not the same as the typical course of male hair loss.
Yeah.
But it's enough that we're upset about it, right? It's enough that we'll be frustrated by the amount of hair that we've lost.
Yeah. I remember too, my hair went really, really dry, but I remember feeling so anxious to shower, like so anxious, like I wouldn't wash my hair. I was so anxious to shower because so much of it was coming out. Now, when I cut it, obviously it got better. But even now, when I shower, I pay such close attention to the amount of hair. And I'm like, okay, this feels like a normal amount, but anything like more than that, I start to panic.
Yeah. And that's normal. Like on a hair wash day, you're going to lose double the amount of hair that you do on a non-hair wash day. And that is totally normal. And I would say for people that like prolong, and that's stats based on like when women used to wash their hair almost every day, right? Where now women wash their hair less often. So I always take that with a bit of a grain of salt. Like if I'm wearing my hair curly and I have not washed it in like 3 days, there will probably, it's like almost like 100 hairs a day that we will lose naturally. So if you don't brush it and you don't wash it, those 100 hairs are just all kind of like hanging out there waiting for the next event. And then 200 hairs, then 300 hairs. It sounds crazy, but I actually will get people to count them if they're really having a hard time. And we're having a hard time like understanding what's happening. Is take that big ball of hair that you would normally just plaster to the side of the wall of the shower and then wait for your husband to pick it off for you. Take it out and count the hairs that are in it and see if you're sub 200, that's actually a normal amount of loss. But it is like we start to like change our behavior. And that's one thing that makes it so hard as a clinician, because as soon as women start to lose their hair, they do all sorts of different things that they didn't do before because they're worried about their hair. So they like stop styling it, they stop brushing it, they stop showering, they stop using product, they stop dyeing it. And then I'm like, but now we'd have no idea.
Right. Yes. You have no idea what is actually happening. Yeah. And then they go right to the health food store and get a hair supplement.
Right to the health food store and buy all the biotin gummies. Save yourself. Do not buy the biotin gummies.
Yeah. As if. Yeah. And I remember that feeling of putting your hair up. I remember running my hands through and I'd be like, my scalp just feels so different. Like I never had thick hair like you, but I could feel my scalp in a way that I never could feel my scalp before. And I use product in the way that I never had to use product before. And I know for me, in terms of those age-related changes, so I'm 43, I'm going to be 44 actually next week. And for me, perimenopause came on like fast and furious. My mom was in full menopause by the time she was 46. So I started having symptoms like when I was 42, and they were really bad, like very bad symptoms. And so my hair was really one of the first things that I noticed from a physical perspective that really shifted. And it's taken quite a bit of focus to not just regulate my hormones so that my hair and also my mental health is okay, but just looking at it as a whole. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about sort of not necessarily biotin gummies, but some of
what can you do? Yeah.
Some of the silly things you shouldn't spend your money on to, hair. And then I'll just share some of the things that I've done that have really worked to change the texture of my hair, and then also sort of the regrowth and whatnot.
Yeah. So first of all, there are a lot of like underlying health conditions that will worsen hair loss. And so because we don't notice that we're losing our hair till we get to like such a threshold with it, sometimes we feel like the thing that was precipitating was something that happened like today. Right. So if all of a sudden, if it takes until you've lost 50% of your hair to notice, and then you're like, oh shit, I've lost 50% of my hair.
Yeah.
we assume that it's something that's happened today that made it all fall out at the same time, when probably it's been a slow, insidious change. We just didn't notice until we hit a certain threshold. So it's very important that you get blood work done. Iron deficiency is a huge trigger for hair loss. You may have PCOS, or may have skirted a diagnosis of PCOS your whole life. And now in perimenopause, that testosterone excess is going to be more prominent or more noticeable. So that's important, and important that you rule out hypothyroid. It's just the most common at this age to be diagnosed at the first time. And that can be a cause of hair loss. And so the blood work thing, it just has to get put to rest. Don't, focus solely on aesthetic solutions without making sure that there isn't an underlying medical thing that's going on.
Yes.
And then for me, what I did, so there's some of the best researches on red light therapy. So I bought myself like a very expensive red light helmet, and I used it every other night for 18 months. I traveled with that mother.
What was the brand name? Because I'm going to get asked if you can.
Yeah, I use iRestore. It's a Canadian company, or it was, probably still is, a Canadian company. There are others. Caprex, I think, was another one that's an American-based company. It was like, I bought it on Black Friday. I think it was $850 when I bought it. And I used it like it was my job. It's still an alert in my phone that goes every other day to use the hair thing. And it just says hair, and it's an alert in my phone every other day for almost 2 years. I used it religiously for 18 months because I was so committed. And I knew the other issue with hair is that you'll do all the things and you won't notice a difference for 6 months. And that's really demoralizing. But I just put my head down and I read my book, and I did 25 minutes of red light therapy every other day for 18 months. And honestly, that's what's made the biggest difference to my hair personally. So there's great evidence for microneedling. I just find it very irritating for my scalp. And I also have ADHD, and committing to something like that is like almost an impossible task for me. Taking supplements and doing microneedling is very hard. The red light, because I read every night before bed anyways, that was an easy one for me to add to my regular habits. But really great evidence for microneedling. I just find it irritating because I also was using topicals. So topical caffeine, right? Topical caffeine serums do work well. They do stimulate the scalp in terms of blood flow. And I never liked doing the micro needling plus the topicals. I found it itchy. And when my scalp gets itchy, I get anxious because I feel like all my hair is going to fall out, even though I'm a doctor and I know that's not true. That is the triggering thing for me when my scalp is irritated. So those were some of the things that I did. I also switched shampoo to like a caffeine-based shampoo. There are some on Amazon that are really not very feminine because they're geared towards male pattern hair loss in men. So I would always use a feminine product, or a more aesthetic product, even though it didn't say how much caffeine was in the solution. And that always frustrated me. But caffeine-based shampoo, also Head and Shoulders. So the medical ingredients that are in Head and Shoulders have actually been shown to improve hair growth as well, partly by stimulating scalp circulation, but also by improving scalp health in general. So alternating my very beautiful, nice aesthetic shampoo with like apple spice Head and Shoulders, or whatever this very masculine hair product was that I would use. And then that was it. And then of course, stopped the crash dieting from the weightlifting and taking iron. And then that was my whole plan. But the trick was honestly just doing it diligently and doing it like it was a commitment, like my exercise is a commitment.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. For me, it's so funny because I also use caffeine cream around my eyes, and I've noticed that it makes a massive difference. It's funny because I'm not this person. Like, I don't travel with creams. Like, I would never travel with like my serum. I never had serums. I didn't know what a serum was. And all of a sudden I'm this person now with like a 7-piece serum solution for my hair. And I'm traveling with 5 different face creams. No more carry-ons. Like, it's a whole situation. And I'm so upset about it because I am the person that would go away for a week or 2 with a carry-on and be fine. And that is not the case anymore. So yes to the caffeine. There's a brand that I use. It's called The Ordinary. And I think you can get it like Amazon or whatever. But there's also one, MD Hair, that I use. It also had caffeine in it. And then also for my hair, not for my scalp, but for the ends, so that they stay moist. It's a gross word, but moist. There's a brand called K18. It's not cheap, but that worked wonders. So I put it on the ends of my hair, and low heat. I used to use, salon quality high heat to get that really nice finish. I don't do that anymore. I let my hair air dry as much as possible. And then I put the K18 at the bottom. And then on days where I'm not on camera, like at night, I have like an oil solution, Olaplex oil solution that I put basically the end, so my hair doesn't dry out, because I am trying to grow it, and I actually cut it. And it's funny because I would go a year without a haircut. And it's now like every 90 days I'm going and getting my hair trimmed. And it's just so interesting how my priorities have shifted because I feel self-conscious about it. And I had like never felt self-conscious about anything before. And so now I pay very close attention to it.
Yeah, I understand. I don't think I've ever taken a picture of like my back, right? Like where I'm like using my mirror to like look. I'm like, I don't care what's happening back there. Or like it's like the, the party's up here. But because I had so much loss, like at the crown of my head, when it all happened, there was like, I had this like cowlicky kind of swirl at the back of my head, and it was very obvious. And I was like, when you see women who have like had to use hairspray to like make their hair like go up like this to try and like mask the thinness, I was like, that's going to be me. I'm going to be like blotting my scalp. And there's actually way better solutions to give the impression of fullness in your hair now than like I'm imagining, women from 30 years ago where they didn't have the tools to be able to try and manage their thinning hair. But this is what I was taking pictures of like the back of my head to be like, well, what does it look like back there? Like, I have no idea, and I don't trust it anymore. I'm like, I don't trust that there's enough hair at the back of my head. And so I was like, okay, like, is it like a half up? And then I'm just going to let this like cover that bad part at the back. Am I going to just wear a hat all the time? Like, it was a risk. And I actually didn't do photos during that window. So there is very few. I had to go back to and look at some previous Confident Clinician content. And I was doing the calls, and my hair was here, right? I had like cut it to here, and I was trying to like have the curls like, so, it's this cute, funky little do that I've chosen to have. I'm like, no, I was forced to do this. And I'm very mad about it. But I did no photos, and there's like very little social media time, like from that time. There's very little, like it was like almost like a black hole in my history where there was like 6 or 8 months where I did not do a lot of photos, which I don't know if I was even consciously making that decision, Lori. But I realized it when I came across this video the other week. I'm like, oh yeah, the short hair, like that's nowhere.
Yeah. As soon as I cut my hair, I had to do something, and it was short. It was above my shoulder. So if you're listening to this, like above my shoulder, below my ear, it was short. And there was a couple videos that I was looking at recently, and I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me that I looked so ridiculous? And I looked at those videos, and I was embarrassed for myself. And I know no one ever will look at me and go, wow, her hair looks horrible. I know that. But I looked at it, even now as I'm looking this side, the one side's under and the one side down, I can't do anything about that. Like they both, it's embarrassing because they don't look symmetrical. Like it doesn't look symmetrical. It looks very different. to me, maybe not to anyone else, but it is a difficult thing. And I remember looking at that video and being like, this is embarrassing. And there's nothing I shouldn't say there's nothing I can do about it. I could have got extensions. I know a couple people who did. I can't. I have like a sensory processing thing. So there's no possible way that I could have been okay having like the heavy scalp things, like even a halo. I can't have it. Like I don't wear jewelry. The only thing I wear is earrings. Like I don't wear necklaces. I don't wear rings. I don't wear a watch. I can't. It's a sensory thing. And I just knew that I would rip them out of my head if I had it. So I was like, okay, I just have to be okay with showing up this way and not curling my hair every day. And so some of the things that I've done from showing up perspective is I actually researched lighting for thinning hair. And so I got rid of my one ring light. So typically with lighting, I had one ring light that was behind my webcam and it said, don't have light head on. You should disperse the light. And so now I have actually two box lights that sit on either side. Like I got them from Amazon. They were maybe like $80 each. And I have two lights that sit on either side of my webcam. And so I felt like that really helped because it was less harsh. It sort of reduces the shadows, things like that. If I knew how to curl my own hair well, and I didn't have to like go to get somebody to curl it because it's so short, I would curl my hair. But I'm not going to the salon 3 times a week to get my hair curled. I'm embarrassed, but obviously it's not that bad. Because otherwise I would curl it because that also gives body, it gives volume. I did one photo shoot because I had to. I was like, I can't use these photos. I had my hair curled. When I do like important summits or things like that, I will get my hair curled. But surrendering to the fact that this is me going through changes. And other than being pregnant and losing weight, I haven't really gone through physical change. I've looked the same my entire life. This is me going through change. And it's been an interesting experience for me to have to figure out how to show up confidently when I don't necessarily like the way I look.
Yeah, I understand. I think, some of the ways that I managed it at the time, which I didn't love all my choices, or mostly I didn't love like the choices I was limited to. We'll put it that way, right? Like the haircut, I didn't love. I also dyed my hair like darker, and then
dyed my hair
started
darker.
over, right? Like we started over with my highlights where my hair now, like I know it's hard to believe, but it is not normally like it's not naturally blonde. Very hard to believe. But we like started over to create more depth in the color versus like, when you've had highlights for a long time or you just keep going and going, like it gets a bit block color at the ends, which I'm totally cool with when I have lots of hair. But when I didn't, it made the top look thinner because the root shadow was like more significant. And so we kind of started over and we put in lots of low lights, which that was actually a really defining moment for me because I'm like, oh, I'm like intentionally dyeing my hair dark because it sucks. Like that was how I felt when I was in the chair. And my stylist was like, yep, let's put in some low lights. Like it'll create some depth against the blonde. And I'm like, okay, so like I'm spending $500 or whatever it is to like put color I don't want in my hair because it sucks. Okay, awesome. And I remembered sitting in that chair feeling like you did when you were like 10 and your mom was taking you for a bad haircut. Like that's how I felt in the chair. It was so like it felt so demoralizing, which again, like I'm not a super aesthetic person, although I'm going to come back to that because I think that there's a piece there, which maybe I'll cry too. We can cry together on the podcast. But some of the other things that I did actually was it was a good reminder that I actually did kind of care about how I was showing up and how I looked. And in that same year, I decided that I was tired of looking at some of my forehead wrinkles on Zoom all day, every day, and started getting Botox. which is my favorite thing, by the way. Everybody does such a shock, like when the naturopath says that she gets Botox, but honest to goodness, like I stare at my face for 6 hours a day on Zoom. It is the greatest thing I've ever done for myself is to get Botox.
Yeah.
And it also like helped me feel great.
Yes.
Like it made me feel like I looked more awake. It made me feel like I looked great despite my haircut I hated. And so focusing on some of the things I could control and some of the things that like helped me feel like I could continue to show up in a really positive way. I got great glasses. Like I bought like 6 pairs of different fun glasses. I got Botox. I got some new earrings. And I low lighted my hair gag, right? Which I didn't want. But that helped me keep going, right? It was like I was still taking care of myself because it almost made me feel like I hadn't taken care of myself when all my hair fell out. And truthfully, like there were some things I hadn't done well. Like the weight loss for my weightlifting competition was part of it for me. And so I did need to rethink that whole process. But doing like everything that was within my control, including taking some steps that maybe 10 years ago I would have sworn off, like the Botox, made a huge difference for how I felt. And then I just kept showing up and I had great glasses and great forehead and mediocre hair.
Yeah. I sat in the hairstylist when she cut it originally. I didn't dye it. And then I went back and she said, I think we should dye your hair. I think it'll make you feel a lot better if we go darker. And I have not dyed my hair since I was 16 years old. And I was really proud of that. Like I was really proud of the fact that I had beautiful natural hair. So I had to cut it. And then she says to me, I think we should dye it. And I burst into tears in the chair on a Saturday in a full like Italian salon. I'm bawling because I hated the way that I felt and I hated the way that I looked. And I was like, okay. And then she did it. And I was like, oh, I feel so much better. It was darker. And one of the things that I did, which I do sometimes, but I do it fairly consistently now, is I fill in my eyebrows and I wear mascara. Because same thing, like I never wore makeup. And not that this, I wouldn't even consider this to be makeup, but it's more than I had ever done before. And I fixed my eyes and cream and the whole bit because like it's whatever you can do to make yourself feel better, do it. You said you wanted to come back to something.
Oh, it was more around like how I hadn't really identified as like a person who like had an aesthetic, right? But then when the thing that was associated with my look or aesthetic was gone, I was like, oh shit, actually this does kind of matter to me and it matters more than I thought.
Same.
And I think because I'd always like identified as the like, the funny one or the one with like acne, but she's got a good personality, right? Like I never really identified with my look. And it was when it was like even more gone that I was like, oh no, this is actually something that I care about and it is important to me, even though I kind of had downplayed it maybe since always, because I never really thought I had it, right? Like I never really thought that I had what it took to be on camera 8 hours a day or get great photo shoots. I would like go to these photo shoots, have 2,000 pictures taken and like one of them, right? Like this was always my experience with it. And it was when like I had the hair thing, I was like, oh no, Jordan, like this is actually something that you kind of want, right? Like you kind of want to care about and you want to be you want to feel good on camera and it not be like, oh, the camera doesn't matter. Like I'm super smart. You can just ignore the way I look. Like I actually want both. Right. And then
100%.
It was this realization that I would like to have both. I would like to be acknowledged for my incredible contributions and also like look great on the camera. And that was, I think, really important moment for me. Because then it made me like pay attention to and care about other things that maybe I had kind of neglected. And it gave me some purpose in terms of like following through with my hair loss, because literally I've had suitcase zippers explode because I carry my stupid helmet with me when I travel. It was that level of commitment. Like, oh, I'll just carry this helmet with me under my arm through security because I'm not leaving home without this thing. but I needed to like acknowledge that it was super important to me to reach that level of commitment. And that's the level of commitment it takes in order for you to grow your hair back. So that was what I wanted to come back to, that like I had always kind of brushed it off. Like, oh, I'm not the person who like gets by with any kind of like beauty or that was never part of who I was or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And when I lost all my hair, I was like, oh no, I actually like kind of would like that to be part of, how I show up. So yeah, that's what I wanted to come
I
back
think
to.
it's very real. And I'm going to say something that might not be politically correct, but I think for me, a lot of it was, I never, like you, considered myself to be, an aesthetic person. I don't consider myself to be extraordinarily put together, but I do very much value and know that part of my job is to come across aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's part of the job to be online, where if you look like a hot mess express all the time, I think trust goes down. Like, I do. I think if you show up, bad lighting, weird sound, shitty background, like you put off these vibes that like you're a hot mess all the time, I'm not certain someone's going to want to drop tens of thousands of dollars to work with me. Like, that is my opinion. I'm just gonna, you do listening, you do what you will with that, but I do value, I have a very nice background that I film in front of. I have professional equipment, the webcam, the microphone, all of that. I do take professional photos 2 times a year. I edit my reels. I didn't realize that I was putting all that effort into the aesthetic because I equated that with wearing makeup, which I don't. But then when my hair was gone and I had to cut it and I didn't like the way that I looked, I realized, just like you, like, yes, this is important. And then we even put out ads, and I know we're going to wrap it up in a second, but I put out ads, and some of my ads had the long hair and some of my ads had the short hair, and the long hair ads of me did much better. And I was like devastated. I like cried. I was like, there's nothing I can do. I can get a wig. I'm not wearing a wig because then I'll have like a sensory overload and my nervous system will be fried and then it'll fuck up my hair again. Like, but it was just like, the long hair did better. And I was like, I know. Believe me, I know. I'm working on it. In the same way that when I wear this color pink and yellow, my ads do better than if I wear other colors. It is what it is. And we just kind of got to show up anyway and be like, okay, the hair is growing. Like, I'm doing my best here.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's a good reminder too. Like, people often look at other people's businesses and think that they're having like an overnight success. And I know you've talked about this in a million times in a million different, mediums, but it is just a phase, right? Like, I can say I'm on the past my shoulder length side of the hair loss journey, but it is a blip in like what's a very long journey. And the photos won't matter and the ads won't matter and none of those things will matter. I think what's hard is that like in the moment, it's like we're living with it like every single day and you feel like you have to look at it all the time. But just kind of like, any phase in life and business, it's just a phase, right? And we can like choose how we want to come through the phase. And I think that it's what I love what you're saying there, Lori, and what I hope your listeners are hearing is that it's like okay to care about it. Like I think that's like the whole thing that we wanted to get across here was like, it's super okay to care about it. Also, it won't be forever. And so, but you have to like probably do a thing.
You have to do a thing.
You have to do a thing if you want it to be different.
Yeah. It's okay to care about it. And you also still have to show up. That's the thing. You don't get to use it as an excuse not to show up, whether it's your weight or your hair. And also, if it is something that is preventing you from showing up, then that says that it matters to you and you should do something about it. Because otherwise it'll always be a deterrent.
Yeah, like not feeling shame that it is important, right? That just like acknowledging that it's important, but still do the thing anyways. yeah, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos with my short hair. I didn't do a professional photo shoot during that time because I can procrastinate on that particular task for like a year. But that still was like the work had to get done, right? The work had to get done. And so I have a whole Confident Clinician launch that was done when I did not feel my best. But what are we going to do? Like not work?
Yeah. What am I going to do? The way that we generate revenue is from public facing live events. And now when I go back and I watch the videos of me where my hair is like in a I remember having to like floof out the bun to make it look like, you know what I mean? I don't have this like teeny tiny rat's nest on the top of my head. There's a ton of stuff that I think we all go through. And I thank you for doing this episode. Where can people find out about you and the Confident Clinician?
Yeah, I'm like very active on Instagram, although I am branching out like a big girl onto LinkedIn. And so if you hang there, like I am there now. But my purpose in life is to help naturopathic doctors practice evidence-based integrative medicine. And we've built a tech platform that helps them with clinical decision making in their practice, including lots of research on hair loss. But you can find me on Instagram at drjordannd, so like Dr. Jordan ND, or at the Confident Clinician Club. If you're a practitioner, it's a great place to go. But that's where I spend most of my time. I also have a podcast called Real Integrative Medicine. And the goal with that podcast really is to bring you the research on integrative medicine. But then we also talk quite a bit about like the practicality of behavior change medicine, which most integrative medicine to be successful requires behavior change. So we've got a mix there of like, here's the science, but here's also how you do it. So it's a great listen, and it's intended for public listeners, although clinicians get a lot out of it because there's lots of good language in there that you can steal, borrow, put in your own practice around how to encourage patients to change.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, to your testament, lugging that helmet around, that's a behavior change that you had to comply with in order to regrow your hair. You know, me bringing 3 different toiletry bags every time I travel now in order to make sure that my hair, my scalp, my hair, my skin, my eyelids, that's a whole other conversation where my skin just got completely.
My hair thing became part of my daughter's bedtime routine. Like she's older now, she's like 14 now, but when I started doing it, I think she was only 11. And my hair thing became part of her bedtime routine because she wanted to be tucked in a particular way as they can, right? As kids can. And so every single night, she'd be like, do you have your hair thing tonight? Because then it would change her bedtime routine around how she and when she got tucked in based on whether or not I had to sit under this light for 25 minutes. So it's like my whole family knew about the hair thing. Like it's this very intrusive behavior, but I still do it like at least 2 days a week still. But it was like every other night for a year and a half.
Yeah, as we do when, things matter to us, we make sure we prioritize them. We make sure that they happen. Funny how that works, right? Funny how that works. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Jordan, for hanging out. And in case nobody's told you lately, you are not too much. You are not too late. You are doing a phenomenal job. And now it's time to go handle your business. Bye for now.
Bye.